Horrid Henry steals the show.
How many badges do you have, Henry?
Asked Perfect Peter. Tons, said Horrid Henry. Now out of my way, worm. I'm busy. He'd just got hold of the latest Skeleton Skunk and the Wizard of Wonder story and was desperately trying to finish it before Dad started nagging him to do his homework.
I already have 10 badges,
said Perfect Peter.
That's 5 more than I need to go on the school trip to Wild Waterslide Park.
Bully for you, said Horrid Henry.
You know that tomorrow is the deadline to earn all your badges,
said Peter. Horrid Henry stopped reading. What? What? That was impossible. He had weeks and weeks and weeks left to get those stupid badges. Hadn't he already signed up to do the sound effects for Miss Battleaxe's dreadful school play, The Good Food Fairy, just so he could earn his entertainer badge? And now he had to earn 4 more by tomorrow? It was so unfair. But there was no time to lose if he wanted to race down the Zoom of Doom, the most terrifying water slide in the universe, or Belly Flop Drop, or all the other brilliant, amazing, fantastic rides at the best water slide roller coaster park in the whole wide world. Horrid Henry had always wanted to go, but his mean, horrible parents would never take him. Horrid Henry pushed past Peter, dashed to his bedroom and grabbed the badge sheet he'd been given ages ago from under a pile of dirty socks and muddy jeans. Frantically, he skimmed it, searching for the quickest, easiest badges to earn. Why did so many badges involve hard work? Oh, where was the TV watching badge when he needed it? Horrid Henry scanned the list. Let's see. Take care of an animal badge. He took care of Fat Fluffy, didn't he, by letting him sleep all the time? Oh, wait. Look after an animal for 2 months. Henry didn't have 2 months. He had 1 night. Hiking badge. No way. Horrid Henry shuddered. Too dangerous. Rampaging chickens, marauding vampires. Who knew what horrible monsters were waiting just to nab him as he heaved his heavy bones? What a shame he'd been disqualified from earning the Giving Good Advice badge after Vain Violet had asked, "How can I be more beautiful?" And Henry had replied, "Change your head." Wait! A cooking badge! Yes! I'm cooking tonight! Shouted Horrid Henry.
I'm cooking tonight, said Perfect Peter. I want to get another badge.
Horrid Henry marched into Peter's bedroom, grabbed Peter's favourite sheep, Fluff Puff, and dangled it over the loo. "Who's cooking tonight?" said Horrid Henry. "You are," wailed Peter. Mum stared at the pile of crisps on her plate. Dad stared at the pile of crisps on his plate. Peter stared at the pile of crisps on his plate. "Eat up," said Horrid Henry, stuffing crisps into his mouth. "There's seconds." "Why are we eating crisps for dinner?" said Dad. "It's the first course of your 2-course meal so I can earn my cooking badge," said Henry. "I have to include 2 vegetables. Oven chips with ketchup coming up." "This is not healthy eating," said Mum. "It's 2," said Horrid Henry. Ketchup is a vegetable, which is why it's called tomato ketchup. Chips and crisps are made from potatoes, and I've already done the different ways to prepare and cook food parts. Hadn't he ordered a pizza this month? Tick. Microwaved a burger? Tick. And taken the wrapper off a chocolate bar? Tick, tick, tick. That cooking badge was his. Dad ate a handful of crisps and then patted his stomach. I shouldn't really. I need to banish my belly, he said. All my trousers are getting tight. So, stop eating, fatso, said Horrid Henry. Don't be horrid, Henry, said Mum. I'm not being horrid, said Henry. I'm earning my handy helper badge by helping Dad banish his belly. So please can you sign my form about how considerate and caring I am? No, said Mum. No, said Dad. Ah! Wailed Horrid Henry. I need the badges now! You have to earn badges, said Perfect Peter. Quite right, Peter, said Mum. Horrid Henry scowled. Here he was, working his guts off to earn badges, and his mean, horrible parents were being mean and horrible. And as for his wormy worm brother... Mum, Dad, listen to the song I wrote, said Henry. It's for my write and sing a song badge. Horrid Henry leapt onto a chair and started to sing. Peter is a poopsicle. No one is a wormy a worm. He's a ninny and a minnie should be thrown into a binny. He's a poopsicle. Mom, wailed Peter. Henry called me a poopsicle. That's a terrible song, Henry, said Dad. No, it isn't, said Henry. It rhymes. And I wrote it myself. Where does it say it has to be a nice song? Henry, said Mum. Oh, all right, said Horrid Henry. I'll sing one more. If only there was a parent swap badge. Henry is the top. Henry is the best. You don't even need to put it to the test. Margaret is a frog face. She's a disgrace. I wish she'd blast off into outer space. No, hyperspace. Then I'd never have to see that frog face again. Ribbit. Dad signed for the Write and Sing a Song badge. Mum signed for the cooking badge. Dad signed for the Handy Helper badge, but only on condition that Henry set and cleared the table for a month. 3 badges down. The 4th, the Entertainer badge, would be his tomorrow. Then just one more to get. The Collector badge! Of course. Didn't he collect gizmos and comics? Yes, he did. Tick. There was one last requirement to get that badge. Talk about someone else's collection. I hate your sheep collection, Peter! Bellowed Horrid Henry. Tick. He'd earned the cooking badge, the Handy Helper badge, the Write and Sing a Song badge, and the Collector badge. Just one more badge and it's Water Park, here I come, thought Henry. All he had to do was the sound effects for Miss Battleaxe's terrible play tomorrow, and he'd be whizzing down the Zoom of Doom in no time. Horrid Henry sat backstage with the soundboard on a table in front of him. All the buttons were labelled. Thunderstorm, wind, cat meowing, bells, cracking bones, cow mooing. The second row sounds were turkey gobbling, telephone, explosion, dinosaur roaring, spaceship, fart. Do not touch the second row, hissed Miss Battleaxe. Every sound you need for this play is in the top row. Do exactly what we rehearsed. Horrid Henry scowled. Naturally, he'd read comics during most of the rehearsals, but providing sound effects was so easy, he could do it in his sleep. Miss Battleaxe walked onto the stage. Welcome, everyone, to our class play, The Good Food Fairy, written by me. I'm also delighted to welcome the theatre critic from our local paper. We look forward to his review of our show. The auditorium lights dimmed. Sour Susan appeared, dressed in black. It was a dark and stormy night, said Susan. Henry pressed the thunderstorm button. Bang, bang, bang! Boom! Boom, boom! The wind was howling. Horrid Henry pressed the wind button. Ooh. And snow was falling on poor, hungry, tiny Tim. Brainy Brian sat cross-legged on stage, holding a crutch and shivering, as anxious Andrew emptied a bucket of paper snow on him. What a terrible Victorian night, said Tiny Tim. I wonder what's for supper. Wouldn't it be great to have a nice, plump roast turkey? Oh no, gruel again. How I wish I had some fresh food like broccoli to eat, or string beans, or tomatoes, or apples. If only I could travel to the future and enjoy a healthy meal. But hark, what's that I hear? It must be the Good Food Fairy coming to visit. Ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Henry chimed the fairy bells as moody Margaret swept onto the stage. Hello, poor person from the past, said Margaret. She waved her wand. I've come to grant your wish. Let me show you the wonderful food of the future. First, drink milk and eat cheese for strong bones. You don't want your bones to break. Crunch, crack, crunch, crack. Because you haven't eaten enough calcium. Margaret the Good Food Fairy continued yakking about different food groups to poor, bored Tiny Tim and the poor, bored audience. A balanced diet is made up of the 5 food groups, she lectured. 1, protein. 2, fruit and vegetables. Horrid Henry yawned. He could see the theatre critic asleep in the front row. Better wake him up, thought Henry. After all, the storm must still be going on. Horrid Henry pressed the thunderstorm button. Bang, bang, bang! Boom, boom, boom! The critic woke up and scribbled furiously in his notebook. The Good Food Fairy droned on. Horrid Henry felt his eyelids droop. What a dull play! If only he, Henry, had written this play, it would have been so much more exciting. He'd have had Terminator Gladiator challenge the Good Food Fairy to a duel, for a start. Then... Sound effect! Hissed Miss Battleaxe. Yikes! Thought Horrid Henry. Which sound effect? Horrid Henry had no idea. He jabbed at the soundboard. Moo! The audience laughed. Oops! Hadn't they met the cow yet? He vaguely remembered that Tiny Tim tripped over a cow at some point. I said, the Good Food Fairy has landed on her dainty feet, yelled Margaret as the ear-splitting mooing continued. Horrid Henry quickly took his finger off the moo button. Dainty feet, dainty feet. Didn't someone break a foot because they hadn't eaten enough calcium? Horrid Henry pressed the cracking bones button. Crunch, crack, crunch, crack. Who's coming with us to the future? Shouted the Good Food Fairy, trying to be heard over the sound of breaking bones. Why, it's Mr. Vitamin! Hello, Mr. Vitamin! Weepy William crept onto the stage. He looked terrified. There was a terrible silence. "Sound of it!" hissed Miss Battleaxe again. Mr. Vitamin? Who on earth was Mr. Vitamin? Thought Henry. Was he a turkey? There was a turkey in the place somewhere. Henry was sure someone had said turkey. He pressed the button. "I said hello, Mr. Vitamin," repeated Margaret, glaring. "Mr. Vitamin!" screeched Margaret. "Tiny Tim's cat!" "Cat?" thought Henry. "Boring! He should be a dinosaur. The stupid play would be so much better if he were a dinosaur." Horrid Henry pressed the button. Weepy William opened his mouth and then closed it. He'd obviously forgotten his line. "Better help him," thought Horrid Henry. "Ring, ring, ring, ring. That's a Victorian phone," shouted Henry from the wings. "Why don't you answer it, Mr. Vitamin?" William didn't move. "Look, it's a spaceship, Mr. Vitamin!" shouted Henry. "Hop aboard!" Wailed Weepy William. "I forgot my line." "And now I must leave you," yelled the Good Food Fairy. "But before I go, I must..." A terrible fart noise blasted out. The audience howled. Horrid Henry beamed. After all, someone had to save the show. Horrid Henry skipped home. He'd done it! Miss Battleaxe had refused to give him his entertainer badge until she read the critics' review the next day, which ended, "The sound effects stole the show, turning what could have been a tedious play into a comedy tour de force. I hope we see many future performances of the Good Food Fairy." Henry had no idea what a tour de force was, but it must have been good, because Miss Battleaxe handed him his entertainer badge straight afterwards. "Zoom of doom, here I come!" whooped Horrid Henry.